And welcome, if you're watching across the World Wide Web, welcome to the Good Listening Go Stories of Distinction and Genius. I'm Chris Grimes, the curator and the host, and I'm very, very happy and delighted to have Mary van Eker, who's going to be doing a founder story. Hello, Mary.
Hello.
Half Dutch, half Scouse in terms of how you sound as well. So I'm intrigued to find out, obviously, Van Eker comes from, all of that stuff. But you're here to talk about a founder story because you're about to announce a new signature program, the Me I Forgot, which is what we're here to amplify. And you are a coach and founder of Be By Your Side Coaching, which is a wonderful name. It's really clear in its proposition. Delighted to have you here. So welcome. Where are you speaking from today, Mary van Eker?
Thank you, Chris. What a lovely introduction. I am coming to you live from the Forest of Dean, well, just outside the Forest of Dean, Gloucestershire, tiny little sliver of the country nestled between Chepstow and Gloucester, opposite, equidistant between, it's a strange part of the world, between Gloucester, Cardiff and Bristol.
Live from FOD. We like that, the
Live
Forest of Dean.
FOD, absolutely.
And my presumption when we first met was the Dutch equation of the Van Eker. So is it Dutch in your sort of family history?
In my husband's family, yeah, ancestry, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're from Liverpool, so there's nothing Dutch about us, but just way back in his ancestry.
And whilst I've got you, what's your maiden name, please? No extra points, but just thought I'd ask you that as well.
So this is interesting. When I first met him and he told me his surname, I thought, oh yeah, that's a good one, because my maiden name is Duff, Mary Duff.
That's a great name. That sounds, yeah, Mary Duff. What a great name. That sounds quite
no middle name. No middle name, just 8 characters in my name. And there is a famous Irish singer called Mary Duff as well. But it's not.
Yeah, now you're mentioning it. Yes, there was. So yes, we're here to talk about the fact that you are a wonderful life coach. You're going to be doing a 4-week rediscovery program. It's all about this for women who feel that they've lost themselves in career or caregiving. And your target market, I suppose, is 45 to 6-year-old women in who you've decided to profile. So just tell us the story behind the story of what you're here to launch today alongside the new, which I've seen, very new and swanky, very crisp and clear, bebyyoursidecoaching.com website, which I'll point people to at the end. So what's the program all about, Mary?
So the program, the Me I Forgot program, is slightly autobiographical. As a woman in her early 50s, well, sort of early 50s, I have experienced a lot of the disempowerment that women my age face. So not only are we caregivers for decades and decades, and that could be in, caring for parents or caring for children or whatever, or dedicated to our career. So I've got a lot of friends who don't have children but have dedicated their lives to their career. And suddenly you get a letter through the post. In my case, it was a letter from my pension company, who I've been paying into for the last 30 years, to say, now you're of a certain age, we'll need to start thinking about putting your pension into safer bonds because you'll be drawing it soon. And I'm thinking, oh, okay. That was the first trigger. The second trigger was my eldest child is 26. And when I dropped her at university, the first child to leave the nest, I sobbed all the way home. She phoned me 3-4 hours later saying to my son, is mum still sobbing? And when I examined that, actually, yes, of course, I was bereft and felt like our family dynamics are changing. But when I thought about it, it was a sadness for myself, because that part of me now is changing, and then now I need to focus on something else. Fortunately, I've got another 3 children to focus on. It's not happening just yet, but it was really they're going to keep me going for the next few years. But it was really interesting that now I'm shifting towards this what's next part of my life. So that's the first part. That's the autobiographical part. But also, as a woman in corporate and as a women in tech committee lead, I know from lots and lots of drop-in sessions I've held for women in the corporate world and outside of the corporate world, just close friends, what it's like to be a woman who goes through menopause, who's going through menopause, children leaving home, family dynamics changing, parents passing or needing additional care, and then the bereft nature of what's left, what's next, how am I going to navigate this? So all of that combined with my coaching qualifications and accreditations just led me naturally down this path to provide some sort of support, some sort of program that helps women rediscover who they are, rediscover what their passions are, lights their fire up, and then sets them on a course where they have a really strong vision about what they want their retirement or their journey into retirement to look like. Because we hear stories about people reaching retirement and them not having a plan, and it's been work for decades and then nothing, and terrible things then happen. So it's about taking stock before it's too late to reimagine what your future could be like outside of work, outside of caregiving, outside of those other things that take up our time, because we're really busy as women. So it's just a really nice time it's a really beautiful program. I've thrown my heart and soul and the kitchen sink into it to providing and equipping women, brilliant women, with what's next in their lives.
That's so eloquently positioned and put. And I know that you are wanting to help people rediscover all their old dreams or reignite new ones by rediscovering that sense of purpose. And purpose is very much a component of what we're going to be talking about in hearing the story behind the story. You've already given some wonderful biographical insights. But if I may, let me get you on the open road now, the curated structure of the Good Listening To show. This is the show, if you haven't seen it before, where have you been? We're about 275 episodes in now. The show in which I invite movers, makers, shakers, mavericks, influencers, and also personal heroes into a clear or serious happy place of my guests' choosing, as together we will share the wisdom and their insights of their stories of distinction and genius. And as I've already described, Mary's here to do a founder story all about the Be By Your Side coaching signature program she's about to launch. So we're going to get on to purpose at the end. And at the very end, there's going to be a very exciting moment called Show Us Your QR Code, Please. So as you hear Mary's wonderful story, you'll also be able to find out exactly where you can come and find her at the end of the show as well, if you'd really like in the program. So with your permission, any questions before we start, Mary?
None from me, Chris. You go for it.
So there's going to be a clearing agree, a lovely juicy storytelling exercise called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There's going to be some alchemy, some gold, a couple of random squirrels, a cheeky bit of Shakespeare, a golden baton, and a cake. So it's all to play for.
Sounds right up my alley.
And talking up your alley, there is a wonderful map of a vista behind you. Just describe your background just before we get going, because it's just a wonderful vista of exploration.
So behind me, I've got North America, and I've got the same wall mural on the map opposite me. So I'm faced with Asia, and I've got North America behind me, and I just love it. I love it.
Which allows a lovely segue to call you global head of yourself. And I'd like to offer everyone listening and watching that promotion, you are global head of yourself. And if in doubt, just wedge yourself between a vista of 2 world maps, which is what Mary's done. Fantastic. So what we're going to do then is, first of all, ask you where you describe your clearing to be. Your clearing is your serious, happy place. Where does Mary Van Eker go to get clutter-free, inspirational, and able to think?
I want you to picture the scene, Chris. So I live in the beautiful Forest of Dean. I mean, it is glorious, particularly at this time of year. And we live on a little tiny farm. We've essentially got 2 fields. One field is flat and the other field dips down into a little valley with a stream at the bottom. And this is my happy place. And although sometimes it's not very human friendly, it's so nature friendly. So when I go down there, there's nothing around at all. There is absolutely nothing on the bottom field apart from nature. And it's got a really beautiful mossy grass. I know that's not a curated lawn and that's not what I'm after here. But sometimes it's very dewy often because it's north facing. But when I sit on the bottom field on this soft mossy grass, all I hear are birds around me. Hear the leaves rustling. I see the leaves in the trees. And then we've got a little small brook at the bottom that just tinkles away. Oh, and it's just
Ooh.
a magical, nature-filled place. And even when I'm not able to get down there, even imagining just sitting on that hill, on that, you know, slopey hill, oh, it just takes me away and makes me feel really peaceful and calm.
I absolutely love the fact no one has ever said mossy dew as a place to
Mm,
contemplate and
mm,
reflect
mm,
on your path and trajectory. So that's full clearing.
mm.
And I'm loving the sense evocation of the dew on the moss as well. And of course, now it's autumn as well, not to tie us down to a
Absolutely.
particular time of the year. What a perfect time. And are we doing animal walking or dog walking when we're there, or is it just children walking, or are you on your own for
Well,
most of
when I
this?
imagine it, I'm on my own because it's just such a peaceful, solitary moment for me. And we do have wild deer here as well. So we have had deer on that field, lots of pheasants at this time of year. And I suppose living in the countryside, you have to just embrace it all, you know. That's what it's all about, just embracing the nature. So this time's with me, but very often I go down with our Labradoodle Rigby, who's a bit of a lunatic, and we love him dearly. Yeah.
Labradoodle Rigby. And if he appears at any point during the show, all the better for that as well.
Yeah,
And just to clarify, we said pheasants, not peasants. I'm kidding. The motive
absolutely.
lovely. So
Birds
I'm
of
now going
prey,
to arrive,
pheasants, beautiful.
and you don't strike me as somebody who has a gun either. You want to sort of just admire them for their majestic beauty and be at
Absolutely,
one with nature. Lovely.
absolutely.
So I'm now going to arrive with a tree in your clearing, and this is where you're going to shake your tree to see which storytelling apples fall out. How do you like these apples? A couple of comedy props occasionally will pop in. And this is where you've had 5 minutes at Mary Van Eker to have thought about 4 things that have shaped you, 3 things that inspire you, 2 things that never fail to grab your attention and borrow from the film Up. There'll be, squirrels, which may pop up at any point. And then the one is a quirky or unusual fact about you we couldn't possibly know about you until you tell us. So over to you, first of all, to interpret, it's not a memory test, but interpret the shaking of the canopy of your tree as you see fit. So 4 things that have shaped you, Mary, first of all.
Well, I think the one obvious thing that has shaped me, and anybody who has been brought up in Liverpool will know this, is that city. Liverpool has shaped me, and every single person who comes out of it, it's kind of, we're in a clan. You don't realise when you go outside of Liverpool that the majestic architecture is not commonplace in other cities in the country. I mean, it's breathtaking, the architecture. Every time I go back there, I'm blown away by St George's Hall, which was the backdrop for the latest Batman film, for example, or the riverside Liver buildings and the civic buildings there. I mean, that's just the architecture. We've got the Radio City tower. Oh, it's just amazing. And then you get the arts. So the arts, we've got one of the biggest libraries outside of London. We've got the biggest 2-tier theatre in the Liverpool Empire outside of London. We just take it for granted that people are, you know, from other parts of the country have the same passion for music. I mean, the Beatles, all of Jerry and the Pacemakers, all of that beautiful music that came in, because we are massively inspired by Transatlantic from America. That all came about in the 60s
Yes.
when there were guys hanging around, you know, waiting for work to come in, and all of this music came over and they interpret it, and that's in part why and how the Beatles and other such music came about. So we've got the architecture, we've got the arts, we've got the people. I mean, the people are hilarious. When I go home, I just know I'm back with my people. We just sort of get each other. They're very generous. They're very supportive. They would do anything for you if you needed anything and you're out and about and you're stranded. You know, you take that for granted that you get that in the rest of the country. And of course, that's not the case. There are generous people elsewhere, but they just seem particularly generous from Liverpool. And it's just sort of a close knit. We're kind of a part of the country. I think that's very unique. You know, if you're from Liverpool, and you meet a fellow Scouser outside of Liverpool, there's just an immediate connection and bond. You could be anywhere in the world and you'll meet someone from Liverpool. It's incredibly bonding. So yeah, incredible music, arts, camaraderie, obviously we've got the football, great sports up there. So yeah, that's definitely one thing that shaped me, is coming from Liverpool. Beautiful
I hope
place.
this will award you with the keys to the city once, because you're such a wonderful advocate for Liverpool. That was just great. You're definitely, you belong. You're from Liverpool. Come on.
Yeah, and I haven't lived there for a long time, but I just feel really peaceful when I go back there. It just feels like, I suppose when you go elsewhere, you always feel like an outsider, like you don't belong to that city. But when you go home, it feels clamped in, you just feel like you're
Yes.
secure again. So that's
And
definitely one.
how big? And what's the family you still have in Liverpool? Because obviously that's where you're going for your homecoming. Who are your family that are still there?
So I'm very lucky to still have my lovely mum and dad, my sisters, all my nieces and nephews are there. Oh, it's just an amazing place when you go back. Yeah, beautiful.
And so it's your homecoming. I really get that. And when was the last time you went?
Only a few weeks ago. And I'm from a part of Liverpool on the outskirts called Crosby, famous for its Anthony Gormley statues on Crosby Beach,
Yes.
overlooking looking out to the Irish Sea. So every time I go down there, I definitely have to go and hug an Anthony Gormley statue, or wrap a scarf around it and take my mum down there. Yeah, it's lovely.
Hog a statue. That's great. I love that.
Hug a statue. Hug an Anthony Gormley. Yeah.
I've had
It's
Mike
beautiful
McCartney
there.
in my show before, who's a real icon. He's McCartney's brother. Mike McCartney's been in the
Okay.
show, and of course his passion is photographing. His whole photography is about Liverpool.
Wow. I mean, he's just spoiled for choice there then. And you do feel that it's really strange when you go to other big cities that don't have the same centre, that don't have the same vibrancy. So one of the times I was up in the summer, most towns, and it's really sad that you go into a city centre and it's bereft of all of its heart. And we went into Liverpool city centre in the summer to see Josephine's Technicolor Dreamcoat, and the city couldn't have been more bouncy. It was absolutely packed with shoppers. There was a walking, singing group that came through, that all the ladies had, the group had headphones on, and there was a woman conducting them, and they were stood on the stairs next to us singing their best singing their best songs, living their best lives. It was absolutely vibrant, packed, bouncing. They were just, incredible. And I mean, the cities that we go to now, it's full of charity shops, absolutely fine. It's a sign of the times. But I was just blown away by the vibrancy in Liverpool on that particular Saturday afternoon.
As I say, I hope you get the keys to the city after that wonderful, brought to you by a sort of tourist information film on behalf of Liverpool County Council. That was okay. Second shapage now. So the next thing that shaped you, Mary.
So when I left Liverpool in the mid-90s, I spent most of my adult life down in Portsmouth, actually on the south coast. So I would say that Portsmouth definitely shaped me. Very different and similar to Liverpool, another big naval port. But now we're on the south coast and we're looking out towards the continent and looking out to France. In particular, with the ferry port, very, very busy ferry port, and one of the busiest waterways, the Solent, in the world, actually. Massive for cargo terminals, etc. Beautiful people there, very warm. They took me in, they embraced me. Most of my very good friends are still in Portsmouth. And again, it's a melting pot of a city. It's people that a lot of my friends don't tend to come from Portsmouth, but they actually move there. Their families have moved there, or they've been imported in, they've been shipped in from other places, and that's worldwide and within the UK. So I've got 4 children. They were all born one of them was born in Scotland, but most of them were born in Portsmouth, and they were brought up there. Our lives centred around our school for a lot of, for 16 or more years, we were parents stood at the school gates. So very much involved in the PTA, very much involved in that community. Knowing Gunwharf, which is one of the iconic parts of Portsmouth with its Spinnaker Tower. We moved there before that even opened, and now it's a tourist destination. Running along the seafront every Saturday morning. going down to the seafront on a really hot summer day and watching the kids swim in the sea, meeting friends down there, going for barbecues. Always something happening on South Sea Common. Always, something happening. We have kite festivals down there. We have Victoria's festivals down there. And I think just knowing that there was something to do with the kids every weekend, we'd leave the car because it's one of the highly densely populated cities in the country. So we'd leave the car over the weekend and we'd walk everywhere because it's an island, famously. Not a lot of people know that, but it is actually an island. That's only 5 miles squared. So we just leave the car and we'd walk everywhere, and the kids just knew that we'd be going down and doing something on the seafront in Portsmouth, down in Southsea. I'm getting all nostalgic for my lovely Southsea now.
You're a phenomenal storyteller, man. I just congratulate you. Your sense evocation is just delicious. It's just lovely what you're talking about. And interesting that both of your shapeages have been about geography so far. They've both been places, part of your heart and your sort of DNA. And then there you are, sandwiched between two maps. I think travel and geography and a sense of belonging, just to reflect what I'm experiencing in listening to you, is just really delicious. Lovely stuff. So I'm intrigued to know now, and it doesn't have to be, whether number 3, cash in number 3, whether you're going to do the third shapeage about geography or not. But what would you say your third shapeage is?
Well, this is an odd one, but from the week after I moved down to Portsmouth in 1996 only up until the last few years, I worked for one company. Very, very fortunate in this day and age to work for one gorgeous company. It was Southern Electric when I joined it. It's now one of the big 5 energy companies, Scottish and Southern Energy. So big shout out to anyone who ever worked at Scottish and Southern Energy, because it was my family and it shaped me from, I started as a temp working on the call centre on the phones. I'll give this lark 6 months. And like most of us who started in big corporations back then, unbeknownst to us, we stay because they provide this rich learning development environment that you can, jump from one area, make sideway moves to another. And then, before you know it, 5 years later, I've moved over to IT, and I'm running the IT service desk, and I'm doing then move on to service management, and I'm meeting incredible people. And then as the company grows, it starts to become a massive renewable energies company, which is, again, one of my green passions. I just love the ethos and the ethics and the code behind that, that shaped us. We had brilliant CEOs who really invested in their people. And then I went on to the application management side of things. So we grew bigger and bigger. This mainframe system that came in 1996 that we all learnt about then, now 20 years later, is becoming obsolete and old tech. So I was involved in that takeover. We worked with brilliant people from IBM India, and I was responsible for the augmentation contract there. So that was, hundreds and hundreds of developers and testers and God knows what who came in, and they came in and I was the central point of contact for all of that, making sure the quality was right and just embracing it. We then started to have Diwali festivals every year, and it got bigger and better and bolder as the years went on. And of course, then we brought in more third parties, and it was people from, all of the KPMG and all of those big corporations. So I suppose if you can hold your own in SSE, you can hold your own anywhere. And because lots of us were entrenched at SSE for 20 odd years, invested in the company, cut us through, and we were SSE through and through. But it's really interesting that is a real great foundation for being able to going out into the world, knowing that you've got quality, you've been invested in, you've been developed in. So it's really stood me in great stead. It's given me a great sense of quality, a sense of purpose, a sense of meaning, sense of self-development. So that was, and my incredible SSE family we have meetups now, because a lot of us have left the company and it's a different sort of flavour of it now, but we meet up every year and we're still, the best of friends. I think it's interesting for our generation, Chris, that being in the office day in, day out was just something that we took for granted. It's not the case now. And I absolutely love working from home. I think if I could have done that, I probably would have. But you do miss those people that you wouldn't ordinarily, meet otherwise, the old boys who give these words of pearls of wisdom before they go off and retire. So yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed my time at SSE, and that's definitely something that shaped me.
A real through line in the story that you're transmitting is your sense of belonging, and there's
Mhm.
loyalty, which is really deeply entrenched. I think when you decide to commit to being somewhere and being present, you've got a real sense of belonging, which has come through in your love of Plymouth, Liverpool, and also see the family of that too. Beautiful. The fourth shapage now, unless you wanted to.
Portsmouth and not Plymouth. It's Portsmouth.
Sorry,
The
yes, of
people
course.
of Portsmouth would be offended, and the people of Plymouth would also be offended by that. Definitely Portsmouth.
Thank you for picking me up on that. It's all about listening. That's great. And now the fourth. This is lovely.
Well, the fourth, excuse me, the fourth one is parenting, I suppose. We came into parenting. I didn't really want children, and then it just sort of happened. And you get this baby, and you bring it home, and we plonked our first child in the middle of the living room, and sort of looked at her and thought, what are we supposed to do with her? And from that moment on, 20 odd years later, 26 years later, my life has just been shaped around being a parent. It tests you to your absolute limit. At one point, at one point we have 4 children in 4 different schools, and they were all, not independent at that point. And it was just if I think about it now, how we even got through on a daily basis, I have no idea. It was absolutely phenomenal. So it tests you to your limit. It tests your resolve. It just absolutely tests your anger management, from a point where you just take a deep breath and start again, because being angry is no good to anybody. But gee whiz, being a parent, the worst, it brings out the worst and the absolute best in you.
And I love the fact
you
didn't know you wanted one, and then 4 popped out is a pretty much of a parental commitment, I have to say.
Well, my husband and I are both the middle of 3 children, and we always knew that we didn't want to have 3 children. So we never felt done with 2. Some people just say, yeah, I've got the perfect family now. But it took us 10 years we had 2 very quickly together, and then it took us 10 years to decide on if we're going to go again, we need to go again. So we had another 2. So we've got 2 1 year apart. We've got another 2 1 year apart, 10 years between the 2 sets. So
26 is the oldest one. So what's the age? What's the gamut of ages that you are matriarch over?
26 and 24, 10-year gap. Then we've got 16-year-old and 15-year-old. And we've got 3 girls and 1 boy. Yeah. Absolute love of my lives, and my husband, of course. But the joy, the happiness, the desire to want the best for them. It's just I pour everything into them. They're just my world. Absolutely. Definitely.
The passion keeps on exuding. This is wonderful. Okay, now that's the 4 things that have shaped you. Now 3 things that inspire you now, Mary Van Eker.
So I'm going to say my mum and dad. So my dad in particular. So tell the story again. He grew up in the tenements in the 40s in Liverpool, Scotty Road. Those people who are from Liverpool will know that. And it was a very sort of deprived area of Liverpool. He then left school at 14, went onto the docks and did the same job that his dad had done. And from there, during I think he was in his 30s, 70s, 80s, they started to look at the docks, and the work was very infrequent. He was desperately trying to provide for me and my sisters and his family. And he decided to take redundancy. He happened to be in on one of these days when they were making dockers redundant, and a post office guy came in and started talking about the post office. He wasn't supposed to be in on that day. It was really fortuitous that he happened to be on that day. Something stuck with him. And this man, who is only educated up until the age of 14, decided then, I'm going to apply to be a sub-postmaster. And blow me down, a few years later, he actually got a post office. He then, the audacity of the man, the confidence of the man, the determination of the man, to just think, I'm going to do that with no backing. He was an only child. He'd lost his mom. He'd only had his dad, who, you know, wasn't particularly involved. So he did this all off his own back. And it's only, I suppose, when you're a parent trying to provide for your family that you think, blimey, how he's done that, I have no idea. Not only did he do that, but years later, him and my mum were both postmasters of 2 post offices. He went into partnership. He bought a big house in the suburbs of Liverpool. He sent his children to, I was very, very fortunate and privileged to go to private school. He had a mobile home in the Lake District. You know, all of these things just came from this very humble beginning. And I think people watching, if my dad can do it, with as little support and education that he did, anybody can do it. You just need the vision, the determination, and the audacity to think, I'm going to have a go. So yeah,
Great
definitely
qualities. Vision, determination, and audacity. What great qualities to recommend to the world.
Absolutely. If my dad
what's
can
your dad's name?
Frank Duff.
What's your dad?
Frank Duff.
Wonderful. The sound just glitched at that point. Frank Duff.
Like Frank Duff. And he was impacted by the Horizon scandal. We lost everything. We lost everything. Family dissolved, all of the rest of it. It's been quite hard on him for the last 20 odd years, but he has now been compensated. Too little, too late, in my opinion. Mum's not well now, so it's a bit of a shame. But yeah, just the fact that he was able to give us that start in life. And I then had this sense of, well, if Dad can do it, anyone can do it. And I had this world opened up to me, which I wouldn't have had without him and my mum.
So your family were absolutely embroiled in the whole scandal to do with the post office.
Yeah.
Wow. And had a happy resolution now, because there's news about that just today.
Yeah, Alan Bates got his compensation yesterday. Yeah, my dad's being compensated, but only last year. He's now in his 80s. He can't travel. My mum can't travel, so they have missed out on a life. But do you know, being a coach, we can't really think about what happened in the past. We've just got to make the best of now and move forward.
Yes.
So he's trying to make the best of it. He's booking his holidays and he's trying to do what he can now. So yeah.
Which reminds me of that coaching adage, do what you can with what you have now. That's such a good philosophy and a way to pull yourself forward. Also, in an extraordinary sort of coincidence of the universe, my wife is very best friends with Toby Jones's wife. And so the man who played Mr. Post Office, Toby Jones, is someone I know quite well.
Wow,
Mr. Bates.
That's incredible. Yeah, he represented us and the families beautifully. Both me and my dad were in tears watching that. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah. So wonderful father mentioned there, and the influencing and a next influencing thing.
Definitely my kids inspire me. I mean, I think about them as a toolbox. They just, whatever you need, we are like that as a family. We're very sort of, the 6 of us are just have got a really close bond. I suppose moving away from home as well, we've just had to, you know, galvanize around each other. But I think of them as a toolbox. They're so very different. Not one of them is anything like the other. We have kindness, compassion, a sense of social injustice with one. We've got strength, determination, passion, and quirkiness with another. We've got creativity, artistic, dance, just a general good egg and all round, takes everything in a stride, just doesn't get fazed by anything in another. And one of them is just the craziest, funniest. Oh God, if you ever need cheering up or ever you need, you know, the world just putting right, she could just get you with one comment. This is the child who at one point during our dinner about 10 years ago, she was about 5 or 6, we turned around and she'd stuck a piece of bread on the end of her nose, and we say, what are you doing? She said, no, Catherine's not here at the moment. This is awesome bread nose. And she's just continued to eat her dinner as awesome bread nose. She's just the cookiest, craziest, loveliest person, a human being. Yeah. So my children are definitely my inspiration. If ever there is, you know, anything I want to share with them, they're the first people I share it with, my husband. Yeah. So they definitely inspire me. The things that they do and can do inspires me every day.
And your sense of pride is just beautiful. Love that. What a great Great. Also, describing your children as a toolbox. I just have to congratulate you.
They're not tools,
because they all equip you.
but they just give you something. No. They all give something, you know, they make the world better for me. Yeah.
Your family is a majestic toolbox with each one having a very different but very, very essential function. I love that.
Absolutely.
So I think we're on to the third. You're allowed a third thing that inspired you now. So the third thing.
So I've touched briefly on it earlier, but it's women in general. I am absolutely blown away by women, supporting women against the backdrop of oppression, repression, suppression. I'm just blown away by my friendship group. They are incredible. I've got a beautiful group of women in the village where I live, haven't lived here long, only 5 years. And they absolutely, we galvanise around each other. If anyone needs anything, there will be a package delivered on the doorstep. No fuss, no drama, no nothing. If someone needs support, you know, there'll be and they're having a tough time, someone will make them dinner and deliver it to their door. If anyone goes away on holiday, we'll keep an eye on their house. You know, they're just incredible. Women in the village, women in the workplace, all the places that I've ever worked at, I have beautiful friendship groups from each and every one of them. And I must say that one of the highlights of my career was I did a Women in Leadership course, hosted it, for a group of my nearest and dearest at the start of the year. And on the final day, it was like a mic drop. It was just the most inspirational 5 weeks of my life, bringing all of my network together from far and near, someone from the village, someone from SSE, someone from all the companies that I've ever worked for and beyond, and having them come together as a group and thoroughly enjoy and get out of that leadership course what they needed. You know, a slightly similar to the Me I Forgot program, similar to that. But the fact that I was able to host that and facilitate that for those women was just a joy, a pleasure, and it was just a career highlight for me. I think in my life, in my career probably, and in my life, women have just always come up trumps. I'm blown away by their resourcefulness, by their tenacity, their determination, their can-do attitude, their love and support for their fellow women. I spoke at a Women in Tech event a couple of weeks ago, and it was just incredibly supportive. You know, all of the people that I used to work with were there. I'm just thinking about all of the different women who have been and meant something in my life. And I want to tell you all now, I love you all dearly. You have really hold a special place in my heart. You know who you are, because I tell you all the time what you mean to me and how much I love you. So yeah, just incredible.
May I also say it makes such sense that you've decided to craft Be By Your Side coaching, because you're such a strong women's advocate, but also Be By Your Side is about pulling you all forward as a sort of a tribe of galvanizing awesomeness. It's fantastic.
And actually, Chris, the times that have been the most rewarding have been the times when it's been toughest. So this isn't just a superficial happiness, you know, thing. These are all genuine life experiences that we hold each other up. And I've been very privileged and honoured to be by the side of lots of my women as they go through those dark times or they go through those tough times. So gosh, I'm getting emotional about it, but it was really important to me to come up with a title that reflected that. So I will be by your side no matter what you're going through. It's really important to me. Oh, let me take a moment.
So eloquently put. And again, it's your superpower is the vulnerability, because that's the power that's driving your desire to be by your side, but also the Me I Forgot program that we're really here to amplify. It's an honor and a pleasure, and I do not take it lightly. You know, some of the coaching goes I was talking to a brilliant woman divorce coach yesterday about it, but there are unqualified coaches out there, and I do not take it lightly when I enter into a coaching program or a one-to-one coaching session. It's an absolute privilege and honor to walk alongside
anyone I coach, not just women, but I am particularly passionate about women because I think we do need to redress the balance. Don't get me started there, blimey. It won't be tears. But yeah, we do need to redress the balance in terms of women in STEM in particular, which is my passion area.
Yes. Wonderful. Now we're on to two things, your two squirrels or monsters of distraction. Squirrels, borrow from the film Up when the dog goes, oh, squirrels. So what two things never fail to grab your attention, squirrels, irrespective of anything else that might be going on for you in your hectic, eclectic and wonderfully invigorating life?
Well, the first thing is it's a bit of a weird one, really, but Instagram Reels are a thing that I'm aware of and annoyingly getting more involved in. And there's one particular woman, she's an older lady called Nancy Birtwistle, and she is on a mission to create and live a life that is a reusable and repurposed one. So, I mean, this year, I don't know why this year, but I found myself making applesauce, pectin out of apples. I found myself inspired by her making washing laundry detergent from, guess what, conkers. Another one from ivy leaves. I know, you've heard it here first. I've been making stem ginger. Oh God, someone needs to stop me. Honestly, the cupboard is full of weird and wonderful things. I made a pesto from nettles. It was not great. It's got to be said. Some of the stuff has really not been good. I've made sloe gin. This is all because of Nancy Birtwistle, who does these brilliant.
And are you doing your own Insta reels off the back of that? So now you've got your own Mary Van Eker reel off the back
I'm
of
not
the
actually, but someone did suggest it last week. Because the things that I'm making, sloe gin, for example, and apple chutney. We've got an orchard in the village, and I'll come home with another basket of apples and think, what can I do with this time?
Oh, you're a scrumper, as they say. You're scrumping apples. I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Nancy Birtwistle, shout out for Nancy. She's incredible. She waxes her jackets, re-waxes her jackets using the candle wax. I mean, she's just phenomenal. And she's on a mission. I think she's got a book out and she's been on Loose Women and things like that.
You must send this episode to Nancy Birtwistle to give her the official shout out, because she sounds like she's a force of nature like you.
She is.
So you're not selling the nettle pesto. Didn't sound too good, but anyway,
no,
stings a bit. That's all good.
I wouldn't recommend that. Nor the other stuff as well. My stuff doesn't turn out like hers, but hey, I'm having a go.
Doesn't like Nancy Birtwistle's, as they say. Now you're allowed a second squirrel. So what's your second squirrel?
So the second one isn't as much fun as that, but what I do have a sense of, and I've touched on it earlier, is the things that get my attention are the oppression against women. And it's just, I suppose, being a woman, you are just, it's just not the fun Nancy Birtwistle squirrel, but in the news, Afghanistan women aren't allowed an education, or, women are being, the sexual organs are being removed in Uganda, for example. Just women who, when they are being formed as a baby, a cell decides whether they become a male or a female. We all are born. We all start life as female, and it's that one chromosome that decides then what the background of your story is going to be. And I don't think there's a woman in the world who doesn't walk home at night being consciously aware that a man, or my mum might be coming up behind her. Coming from Liverpool, I always have my keys on me. I think we're just attuned to that. But being a woman in particular, I think every time something comes on the news, it's just another magnet to me to drive forward, to fight for women's rights, to redress the balance. The world is created for a man. And I'm not man bashing at all. But all I'm saying is that I'm just acutely aware of that. It is something that grabs my attention. And it is the squirrel. There's something every day that comes on the news about a woman being repressed, whatever. I'm taking a dark turn now, but it's just the subliminal story, really, that I'm just acutely aware that I've got 3 daughters myself, and I don't know what the answer is, and I don't know what the future is, but having great male allies and raising sons who appreciate the value and worth of a woman as much as a man, and having that equality is very, very important to me. That's what I think.
Again, very eloquently put. I love the fact you've got a gritty squirrel alongside a playful squirrel.
Yeah.
And it gives a fierceness. This is a compliment. It gives a fierceness to you, as a galvanizer and supporter of women, which is really powerful. And now about the one, which is a quirky or unusual fact about you, Mary Van Eker, we couldn't possibly know about you until you tell us.
There's probably two. I have the pointiest elbows in the history of pointy elbows. We call them WMDs. They are weapons of mass destruction. That's probably the one thing, boring thing about me, really, but they are super sharp.
So what do you call them? The sound just glitched just before the weapons of mass destruction being your elbows. What was the first thing you called them? We called them my...
I can't remember. My crazy fact, my boring facts, I suppose. They're just crazy, super.
They are
super
majestically sharp elbows. Good.
And my poor children, my poor children have come into some sort of hurtful situation because of them in the past. And the second thing probably is, I'm breaking your format now, Chris, but a fact people won't know is that Linda LaPlante, famously the author of Prime Suspect, the Helen Mirren show, she went to my school.
That's cool extra fact.
There you go.
And I don't doubt you use your sharp elbow advocating for women. Come on, it's about giving us the space. I love that.
Well, metaphor, I suppose it's a good metaphor, isn't it? Yeah.
Wonderful. We've shaken your tree. Hurrah. Now we stay in the clearing, move away from the tree. And now we're going to talk about alchemy and gold. You're giving me this by the bucket load in any case. But when you're at purpose and in flow, what are you absolutely happiest doing in what you're here to reveal to the world?
I am happiest when I am with a client, whether that's a group or it's on a one-to-one basis. And I'm using my skills and experience and my eclectic coaching toolkit to see a breakthrough in the person that's in front of me. And in those moments, the world stands still. There is a newfound insight. There is a realization. There is an aha moment, beautiful aha moment. The face moves up and the person then has found something really useful, a nugget of gold that they are now aware of. They've got a new sense of self-awareness that they didn't have beforehand. And not only that, when I hold that space, we go deeper and we start to unlock the deeper parts of the brain. That is the problem-solving part of the brain. So in life, we are superficial. Believe it or not, we don't think a lot in our day-to-day lives. We go through, we rely a lot on routine and, everyday routine of life and rhythm of life. And it's only in those sacred spaces, in those pauses, where we are being given the time to stop, to think deeply, to think about things in a way that you've never thought about them before, to think about things. I think about it, as Iron Man, when he looks at things and he pulls it apart and he's able to see it from different perspectives. That's what happens in those moments where someone's looking at something from the underside of something, they've never seen that before, and they have a new insight. And with that new insight, often the silence and magic happens, Chris, and it is the most fulfilling, selfishly fulfilling space to be, where someone realizes something, has that insight. Oh, I could do that. Or, oh, I hadn't thought of that before. And oh, now that I've had that thought, boom, here's a load of other stuff that is now unlocked. It's like you go into these beautiful little parts of the brain and unlock them piece by piece. And only in those thinking spaces, Nancy Klein has this book called Time to Think, and she talks about holding space, the uncomfortableness, if that's a word, of silence is where the magic happens. It is just profound. And that is when I'm in flow. That is when me and my client, me and my group are just unlocking deeply profound thoughts, ideas, and insights that they've never thought of before. Because in coaching, just to take that thought a bit further, we believe that all of the answers lie within ourselves. We know what we need to do. We just don't know where the answer is within ourselves. And it's our job as coaches and my job as a coach to unlock that and take them to those places so that they can realize that and understand where it's coming from.
Deliberate invocation of silence there. And also what's so lovely in researching you, I know you have a deep desire, which is coming across so authentically, where you're imperative every woman who joins you in Be By Your Side and the Me I Forgot program feels more like her brilliant, authentic and perfect self by the end of it.
Absolutely.
Love.
Absolutely. Because I think as a woman, again, you adapt and change to fit in with your environment, whether that's work, family, culturally, socially, whatever it is. And my job then is to say, who are you? Let's discover who you are, what you want. That is such an interesting question in coaching, Chris. You think it sounds easy, but asking someone, what do you want? These are really great people in leadership. These are highly qualified, successful people, often don't know what they want. And it's my job then to allow them to feel authentic. And what happens when you feel authentic and you're able to rediscover yourself, which is part of my program, is that lightness occurs. You throw off the shackles and the baggage of trying to be someone that you're not. And you stand proud and you're able to go forth with authenticity and a sense of self, and you feel like yourself again.
And now I'm going to award you with a cake. Hurrah! So first of all, do you like cake, Mary Van Eker?
Who doesn't like cake? I mean, yes, absolutely. I love cake.
So your dog might enjoy this. I think it's a doggy cake actually, but it's a carrot cake with a bit of a cherry on top. So this is a final suffused with a storytelling metaphor where you get to put a cherry on the cake now with stuff like inspirational quote at Mary that's always given you succor and build your future.
I think have a go. It's easy to procrastinate and think that perfectionism is what you need, but have a go, learn from it. In my day job, I'm an agile coach, so have a go, learn from the feedback, take the feedback not as criticism and to self, but actually as those things that are going to make you even better or make the product even better. So have a go. You never know what's going to happen. If it's rubbish, learn from it. If it's good, do more stuff like that. It's brilliant.
Lovely. With the gift of hindsight, what notes, help or advice might you proffer to a younger version of Mary Van Eker? And you can decide how old you are when you go back in time to wrap your arms around yourself and give you this sage words of advice.
Oh, that's so interesting, actually, Chris, because I did a bit of coaching on myself when I started my own business because I was afraid of putting myself out there and being seen and visible and being it cringy on social media and whatever. And I did a coaching exercise where I took myself back to being a child, age 5 or 6 in the 70s. And this little child, this little May, as my family call me, was always told little girls should be seen and not heard.
Yes.
And I think internally, women carry that little girl should be seen and not heard into. So I did some brilliant coaching techniques with me. I clamped her onto me. I told her it was all going to be okay. And you've got this. And I think those would be the words of advice that I go back in time and tell myself that it's okay as a woman, as anyone in this world, to be seen and heard. Take up space. You're here. Do what you need to do. Don't worry about it.
Lovely. And now we're ramping up to Shakespeare shortly to talk about legacy. But why don't we at this point find out where we can find out all about you on the old internet? So I'm just going to, first of all, show us your QR code, please. So this is you, Mary. And if you're watching, you can scan this QR code. So just talk us through where people need to go, if you're just listening and not watching, to find you Van Eker for your Be By Your Side coaching program?
Absolutely. So if you scan this QR code, it will take you through to my website, and it's the landing page of the Me I Forgot program. I do focus on women. The Me I Forgot program is for the over 45s, women in leadership, and group away days as well. So I'm a corporate veteran and an agile coach. So I provide and facilitate away days for small and medium businesses in the corporate world. So use the QR code to go to my website. There's a contact page there as well that will take you straight through to an email, and I will absolutely respond. I'm very busy on LinkedIn. I tend to be on LinkedIn all of the time. So please do find me on LinkedIn as well. There you go. Look, as if by magic.
And there is
So
Mary on. And then there you are. There's a second QR code now to find Mary on LinkedIn as well. Also, I love the fact in researching you call yourself an Agile Evangelist,
yes,
with lovely expression. And in terms of personal branding and operator words, saying something that makes the audience go, wait, what? So just unpack Agile Evangelist for me.
I'm so glad you brought this up, actually, because working at SSE, we were a juggernaut of a company and we were trying to bring in cloud technology. And I pioneered that in the IT department. But with cloud technology, you need to then introduce a different delivery methodology, which is called Agile. So for anyone who doesn't know it, Agile is essentially about breaking things down into the smallest possible component. It's a bit like a psychological tick list. You know, you feel really good about yourself when you go through your tick list.
Yeah.
Well, we use nice software, we use Kanban boards, we use software to move things across the board. We tend to work in 2 or 3 week sprints. I introduced that at SSE. I moved house with that. We decided to move house because we created a backlog of things that we need to do in the house and thought, actually, there's too much stuff there. Let's just move house. And it's so you can apply, it's applicable in all phases of life. And we my husband will say, what's in the backlog? And we size things, small, medium, large. We talk about whether it take an hour, half a day, and we'll move it across the board. So, you know, I apply it in all different parts of my life in a simplistic way, but I've done Agile at scale as well. We brought in off-gem switching program back in the energy days, and that was done Agile at scale using software and it's the software's. It's funny, Chris. I bet you're sorry you asked me this question, actually, because in my extensive experience of Agile, the meetings that you have, your daily stand-ups and the retros and all of those things, and the software that you use are the easy bits. The hard bits are the people who implement it. So the hard bits is psychologically getting people to the Scrum, and Scrum is where everybody is equal. There is equality. There is no one senior developer. We are all equal. And that takes a lot of ego. So you have to remove your ego to be part of the team, to be just an equal with everyone else. So psychological change is a really interesting, I wouldn't even say byproduct, but a really interesting part and parcel of implementing Agile well. You can do Agile or you can be Agile. A lot of people do Agile and they're not necessarily being Agile. So my job as an Agile coach is to coach the being Agile and understanding the psychological blockers.
Thank you for unpacking that so eloquently. Again, your eloquence is just sublime. And now, just before we do the Shakespeare, this is the pass the golden baton moment, please. As you've experienced the Good Listening To Show stories of distinction from within, who might you like to pass the golden baton along to keep the golden thread of the storytelling going, Mary?
Oh, gosh, I haven't really thought this one through, but I would suggest a fantastic woman, bizarre story, but I would say Sue Palmer-Cobb. She has got a whole load of stories to tell. She doesn't know it yet. I probably need to prime her, but yes, I would suggest that Sue would be an excellent person to get onto this podcast.
Sue Palmer-Cobb, did you say?
Cobb, yes. She is a divorce coach. She's set up the Divorce Coach Academy, which is one of the only ones in the country. She saw a gap in the market, and she now coaches to be divorce coaches to help people going through divorce and that terrible sort of crisis time. You know, it's a very stressful time of life. So very worthwhile. And I met up with her yesterday. Crazy coincidence that she happened to used to be my science teacher at school. I don't even know how that bizarre coincidence occurred, but we didn't realise that until we started talking to each other yesterday. And it's a tiny little school on the outskirts of Liverpool. So who'd have thunked it? But yeah, she'd be a great person.
Wonderful. And now, inspired by Shakespeare, all the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players, borrowing from the 7 Ages of Man speech, Mary Van Eker, when all is said and done, how would you most like to be remembered?
Well, I think my legacy is my children. I mean, they are just... If I can leave 4 beautiful citizens to go forth into the world, that's all I'm looking for, really. Just really good eggs. 4 good eggs, my children, my legacy.
And may I just congratulate you, you too, that legacy is secured because you are a beautiful citizen yourself.
Thank you.
You
guys.
are majestic and trailblazing. So I'll ask you one other question in a second, just a couple of announcements from me. If you'd like a conversation about guesting in the show too, the website for the show, here's another, show us your QR code, please, is thegoodlisteningtoshow.com. There are a number of different series strands. This has been a legacy life, this has been a founder story episode. And I've just given away what I was going to say next. The really exciting podcast series structure format is called Legacy Life Reflections, which is to record your own story or the life story of someone that you love or that's near, dear or precious to you for posterity, lest we forget before it's too late, using the unique, and I hope Mary has experienced, thoroughly enjoyable storytelling structure of the show. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. Hurrah! As if by magic, another QR code appears. And now disappears. So Mary Van Eker, your program is The Me I Forgot. BeByYourSideCoaching.com is where we're going to point people to. But as this has been your moment in the sunshine in the Good Listening To show, stories of distinction and genius, founder stories, is there anything else you'd like to say?
I would like to say that I have one piece of advice that an old boy in SSE told me once, and that is when you're cutting in with painting, remember to breathe. It's a very important piece of advice.
Just say that again because it was beautiful and worth reincorporating. Say it again. When you're
cutting in, when you're painting, you need to remember to breathe.
Love that. Just remember to breathe, people, is great coaching advice of itself. I've been Chris Grimes, but most importantly, this has been the delightful, the passionate, the loyal, the grounded, the sense of belonging that you've brought is really wonderful and profound. Mary Van Eker. Anything else you'd like to say?
Have a go, guys. You never know unless you try. Have a go. We'll see where it goes. That's what I did when I started up my business.
Wonderful. Thank you very much indeed. I'll stop recording there.